we are releasing another segment from the Happy Hustle Online Summit with Miss Susan Bratton. She talks about the 6 keys to a hot, satisfying, and mutually pleasurable sex life. We're going to be diving in.
Do you want blissful balance in your personal and professional life? Great. What's up, guys? My name is Carrie Jack, and I want to help you happy hustle a life you love, one full of passion, purpose, and positive impact. I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur, a professional model/actor, a digital marketing specialist, a podcast host, author, a biohacker, an eco-warrior, a martial artist, a hippie cowboy, and a humanitarian. My goal is to educate, inspire, and entertain you to live a life of passion, purpose, and positive impact.
It is time to happy hustle your dream reality.
You know, what's it all for? All this happy hustling if we don't have love in our life. So here we go. Susan Bratton is an intimacy expert to millions. She's the co-founder and CEO of Personal Life Media, Inc. and the 20 LLC. She's a best-selling author, and she is a happy hustler. She's a champion and advocate for all those who desire intimacy and passion their whole life long. And she really is a sexual biohacker per se, and someone that I definitely look to for the most innovative strategies, but also sometimes just to learn, back to the basics of like how we can really get our partners to, increase the intimacy as well as the love in our lives holistically. So I hope that intro did you justice, Susan. The floor is yours, my friend. I'm so grateful for you. And yeah, have at it, girl.
Hey, Carrie, good morning and hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here talking about, let's talk about love. That's what we're doing today. I brought 2 things to talk to you about today because I thought, Carrie he really wanted some like hacks to having a much more pleasurable, connected, intimate, sexy, sensual, turned on, just kind of the kind of a relationship that all your friends are jealous of. You guys are the hottest, and it just keeps getting better. That I think is the other really most important thing. And I've written 44 books and programs, so I could be talking about a lot of stuff here. But what I thought I would talk about today are 2 things. One of them is kind of a hack to Carrie's hack. He's got his lover strategy. Carrie, will you talk just a minute about what LOVER stands for?
Of course. Yes. Thank you. LOVER is an acronym. It stands for listen, observe, voice, empathize, and repair. It's a process that I use internally to go through potential adversity and to overcome it.
Yes, and the listen and observe part, I want to give you a shortcut for that because sometimes you are watching and you are listening and you still aren't quite nailing it. And this is an interesting strategy. It's called understanding your relationship values. And then the other thing that I want to give you is the 6 essentials to connected sex, because all of the things that are out in the world. So first thing I want to do is I want to talk about how to get your relationship really humming. Like you feel like you are in the best relationship of your life that you could ever imagine, and that your partner is meeting your needs completely, and that they feel exactly the same way for entirely different reasons because they have entirely different needs in their relationship. So that's the first thing. But then the second piece is this notion that we are under so much stress, and stress jacks our cortisol, and it screws up our sleep, which lowers our performance and creates this cycle. And the interesting thing is that oxytocin, which is the love hormone, the bonding hormone, is actually the cortisol neutralizer and stabilizer. It is in your hormonal system the other part of cortisol. So cortisol's the spike, the adrenaline, the and oxytocin is the oh, 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 it's the relax. And when you relax, you can reboot your nervous system. You can get a flush of neurotransmitters. You can get a flush of hormones. You can get oxygen to your brain, which improves your cognitive function. So there are a lot of reasons to have this pleasurable, connected sex that creates this intimacy. And all of the signals that we see out in the world, what you see in movies, what you see in pornography, and the fact that there's lack of pleasure education put us into the cortisol adrenaline state way more than we could be in if we had a couple of really simple techniques for having the kind of sex that you want to keep coming back to over and over, and that both partners equally are hungry for the, oh God, let's have sex. For example, tonight I'm making spaghetti, gluten-free, homemade, and I'm having a date with my husband, and we've got it on the books. And when we get there, we'll figure out what it is that we want to do, what we're in the mood for at that time. So, may I start with relationship magic now, Carrie?
Please, of course.
Okay, darling. So one of the things that I did was I gave Carrie both of these in PDF form for you. So you've got these books, and Relationship Magic is a workbook. So why bother buying it on Amazon when you're just going to print it out and write on it anyway? And essentially what Relationship Magic does is it helps. I wrote it originally for husbands who wanted way more sex with their wives than they were getting, and they didn't really understand how to have their wife understand how much they needed the physical affection of lovemaking. And I don't use the word sex to mean intercourse. I really mean it to be everything that you currently consider to be the flirting, the lead up, the foreplay, the intercourse, and the aftercare. That's what I talk about when I say sex. So the reason I wrote Relationship Magic, and I got this from Tony Robbins. So I used to work for Tony, and in his Date with Destiny, one of the things that he does is he does something called NLP values elicitation. NLP values elicitation, neurolinguistic programming, is basically the communication operating system of the human body. And he learned it from the originators, Milton Erickson, et cetera, of NLP. And it can be used and applied to many things, and applied to relationships, it is an excellent strategy. And what it basically does is it gets you to understand what it is you value most about being in a relationship. So if Carrie and I were in a relationship, what he wants from me is going to be very different than what I want from him. And those come from a couple of different things. They come from how you were raised, whether you were attachment bonded or not attachment bonded, how much you like physical affection, whether you are a more confident person or you need more security and to be taken care of, what it is that in your mind is important to you for a relationship. And people have a lot of different things. So one of the things in the workbook that you'll find is a page that has, I don't know, 40, 50, 60, I don't even remember how many there are, words that will mean something to you. They'll have meaning to you. And there are words that are like the same word, the different words for the same thing, but there's a word that describes the thing you want out of your relationship. And the idea is that if you get up every day and you know what your partner wants, and you just focus on giving them those things that create the feeling that they want to feel in the relationship with you, and they do the same for you, you're going to be taking totally different actions, because what I want and what you want are totally different. But when you know it, I call it the cheat sheet to my heart. It's essentially that what I've told you is these are the things that are important to me. And I'll give you some examples now. So for me, my number one thing is security. I had a very insecure childhood, and one of the reasons that I loved and married my husband is because he's a very good caretaker. He's just he's got a lot of daddy energy. He's got a lot of calmness, and those are naturally important to me. Equally, security means financial security to me. And not only does he have ambition, but he likes my ambition, and we're business partners. So he meets me in getting my door, knowing my safe word, making sure we have health insurance all the time, money in the bank, just watching out for the love of his life. Where for him, passion is his number one relationship value. He doesn't need security. He can take care of himself and me and our child, and a million people he takes care of. But what he wants is he wants me to sit on his lap naked when I get out of the shower. He wants me to wear sexy lingerie. I have an unlimited lingerie budget and sexy shoe budget. He wants me to fondle him, kiss him, hold him, tickle him. He wants physical. It's not just about sex, but he loves sex. And it is important that I focus on showing up regularly and helping him help me lose the stress of my life and relax into my connection with him, which I'm going to talk about next in the sexual soulmates piece. But I realized that early in our relationship, I felt like he was always grabbing at me. And I was like, dude, that's like a lot of grabbing for me. And it was because I wasn't used to being touched. I was like a dog that needed to be trained in a way, because we are always learning, always growing, always changing in our sexuality, like everything else. We are maturing. I'm 62 and I'm having the best sex of my life. I have the most muscle I've ever had. I have the most stamina I've ever had. I can do some mad sex positions. I mean, it's just incredible. My orgasms are incredible. And I learned all these things over the last 3 decades of being with my partner and continuing to learn new skills together. So I put my attention on passion. We both value honesty. We have a radically honest relationship, completely unfiltered. We share 100% of our truth, which makes it challenging because when you tell your truth, you're usually admitting things about yourself that aren't the greatest. It's kind of like, oh, wow, I'm petty. Ooh, God, I've got envy. It's like all the 7 deadly sins you're admitting to with your partner. And so honesty, we have the same, but my husband's a massive introvert. He likes to sit with 5 monitors and they're all spreadsheets. And he doesn't want to go out and do a lot of stuff all the time. He's like, it's too people-y. Where I'm, Carrie, I'm just like, yay, people. And so I need freedom and variety. And those aren't the things that he wants. He wants growth and he wants trust from me. And so when I get up every day and I touch him and hold him and tell him how sexy our date's going to be later, and I feed him food, he wants me to feed him, and he wants me to, and that's what makes him happy. And that's what I focus on, because I can make a mean sandwich. I've got like a killer Dagwood and great meals, and I just meet him where he is. And so what I love about Relationship Magic is that it allows you to figure out what it is you want by doing this values elicitation strategy, which is basically a rank ordering of what it is you want. And the way you figure it out is, would I be in a relationship if I couldn't have this? Because you'll think back to relationships you had where you're like, I liked a lot of things about it, but there were some things where it was just not good. They weren't meeting your relationship values. And so once you know what they are and you tell your partner, you give them specific examples. Like for my husband, it was, I need you to wear lingerie. And for mine, it was never miss a health insurance payment. And it's like, okay, let's go. And so what I find is that you can get beyond listen and observe by being like explicit about exactly what you want. So that when you wake up every day, you're like, man, I am in the best relationship of my life. So that's Relationship Magic. That's the workbook. You'll get it with your summit. And hey, I did perfectly on my minute timing. And then how many more minutes do I have to just go quickly into the 6 essentials that are in here, just to give a top line on it?
You got 14 total with Q&A. So
whoa, whoa, whoa. Apologies for interrupting your programming, but I have to tell you, the best investment you can make in yourself is one in which helps you acquire skills.
You've probably heard people talk about, oh, just invest in yourself and you'll be successful. Yes, that's true to a degree, but you have to invest in skills that will ultimately help you achieve your desired results. And I think one of the best skills one can possess, be it an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, is the sales sword. Really knowing how to sell, utilizing pressure free persuasion, which will make you more money and more impact. Now, if you want to know how to sell more efficiently and effectively, I just launched a sales course called The Proven Roadmap Process to Selling Millions of Dollars and helping you to increase your conversions guarantee. And you can get access to this new sales course that the Happy Hustle is launching at thehappyhustle.com/sales. And if you act fast, you'll get it at the lowest price it'll ever be available, because we are launching it and we want to gain amazing testimonials and social proof to further share this knowledge. So if you act fast, you can get it at the lowest price it'll ever be. That's at thehappyhustle.com/sales. Now let's get back to this episode.
Where am I now?
You got, let's say, 5 more until Q&A.
5 more. Okay, great. Thank you. So I want to move into that, because now that you've got your kind of relationship foundation set, you know what your values are, your partner knows what their values are, you know what theirs are, and you get up every day and give them to them. What people tell me the most is that it's like, oh, I was treating my partner the way I wanted to be treated. I was doing the things that I thought were what you do because that's what I want. And that's the golden rule: do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. But the platinum rule is treat your partner the way they want to be treated. That's the higher game. And that's what Carrie's all about, the higher game. So I hope that you'll do it. And I'd love to know what yours are, because I'm a collector of people's relationship values. So my email address is very easy. It's just my name, susan.bratton@gmail.com. That's my personal email address. And you are welcome to email me your list of relationship values, because it's my joy to know that people have figured that out and they've started acting on it. It's a real pleasure to me. So the next thing I want to talk about is sexual soulmates, the 6 essentials to connected sex. My brand, I'm a sexpert. I write sex techniques. I do relationship stuff to create the foundation for hot sex. I do sex techniques and communication skills and intimate wellness information. And what I realized is that a lot of people are having kind of porn star sex, performative sex. They don't know where to touch. Their orgasmic potential is not achieved. They're operating at a very, very low level. It's really your basic stuff. And there is so much more that will fuel your vitality, your energy, your creativity. When you're having hot sex and incredible orgasmic pleasure, when you feel incredibly close to your partner, you have something that almost nobody out there is getting, that is fueling you in ways that nothing else can. And there are, for 2 decades, what I have been doing, I'm not a therapist, but people email me because they're on my email newsletter, and they ask me questions and I give them answers and I say, try this and let me know how it works. And after doing that for decades, what I realized is that there are these 6 things that really make an incredible difference in how hot and satisfying and mutually pleasurable your sex life is. And the first one is, and this one is not going to be a surprise, but I know you don't always do it, and that is to be present during your lovemaking, getting out of your head and into your bodies and into your heart. Women have a hard time getting out of their head, and men have a hard time getting into their heart. These are generalities. Everyone's on a bell curve. But sex is a mindfulness practice. You keep bringing yourself back to heart and connection, bringing yourself back. The second is lover space. I had dinner with a girlfriend of mine last night who is very intelligently, very sexually well educated. She's in the business, a girlfriend in the business. And I asked her what was most important to her with her new boyfriend. And she said, it's setting up the space for me to be able to surrender, to get out of my head and into my heart and connect with my lover. And I call that lover space. Lover space is, what's the temperature? What's the lighting? What's the music? Is there water? Do you have good lubricants? Do you, um, are the sheets nice? Do you have your fascinator down so you can get stuff and it won't mess up the bed? Is everything ready? Because people have this thing where they think that sex should be spontaneous, but actually setting up the space for surrender to pleasure it really facilitates better lovemaking. The next is something I call my sexual soulmate pact. And if there's one thing you read in the book, and it's a little book that just gets down and dirty about these things, the sexual soulmate pact is, to me, the foundation of great sex. It is, how do I know what I want and feel confident asking for it? And my partner isn't going to get crushed or take it personally or, kind of emotionally check out. They're going to be like, oh, thank you, babe. Tell me more. How's this? Oh, that's nice. Yes, I can do that for you. That is a construct, an agreement, a pact that you create with your partner that sets the playing field for all the pleasure you could possibly imagine. The next is polarity. And what I like couples to do is to learn how to be switchy. First to be in the masculine and to be in the feminine, and then to be able to switch back and forth effortlessly from moment to moment so that you have this tension. But it's not always, I'm the giver and you're the receiver and my ego's tied up in making you have pleasure. It's the opposite of that. It's like, wow, I don't know where your pleasure starts and my pleasure ends and who's on top and where we're going, but it's all mutually incredible. The next is embodied sex. Sex is sensual. It's looking, it's smelling, it's tasting, it's hearing, it's touching, it's knowing where my body is and what it wants. And one of the biggest things that goes undone is auditory. So dirty talk, pillow talk, pleasure talk, adoration, sharing frames. There's a lot of techniques in the book that will help you really increase your auditory pleasure, which really spikes your physical pleasure. And then the last is erotic play dates. And I'll close with this. Couples that play together stay together, especially the ones that play in the bedroom. And I'm not the kind of sexpert that says schedule sex. I like John Lee Dumas's calendar, which is completely open most of the time for just kismet. And kismet is, what are the kinds of things that we're learning in our sex life and what do we want to learn together next? And so I've come up with 48 different erotic play dates that allow you to go through them and be like, oh, that's going to go on my sex life bucket list. Oh, no, that one wouldn't be for me, but like if my partner wants to do it, I would totally be down for trying it. And C's are, it's not for me right now. Never say never, because as you mature and gain confidence, you want more things. So erotic play dates, that's at sexlifebucketlist.com if you want to grab that. It's a PDF download. I should have added that in. I'm sorry I didn't, because I think the erotic play dates are what keep your sex life getting better because you're learning new things. You have new relationship energy because you're learning together as newbies, and that is huge. And so you will be amazed. You'll be like, I don't even know I could learn all these things. I don't even know what some of these things are, which is why it comes with a video to tell you what they are. And they're not yucky. You won't have to worry. They're all lovely and really sexy. And so the two things are, know what your partner wants and give it to them. Tell them what you need and let them give it to you. And then practice these simple things. Bring these into your lovemaking one at a time, or do them all at once as an overachiever that you are. And that will ignite a level of passionate lovemaking and passionate life that you're not going to see other people having.
Oh, I love it. Susan Bratton, y'all. Let's give her some virtual love. Oh my goodness. It's getting hot and steamy over here.
Good.
I mean, truly though, like we don't talk about sex enough. I just feel like it's such a primal part of our beings, and most of us, I myself included, we don't study it or practice it or become better lovers, as you say. And it's people like you who are raising awareness, and I'm so grateful for your work. I mean, some really great takeaways. Guys, put your questions in the chat too. If you have questions for Susan, now's your chance to ask a real sexpert. And
And you can ask me anything. It doesn't have to be about anything about which I've spoken, because that was pretty straightforward and clear. And you've got
yeah,
the books. Like, you can ask
true.
me anything you want to ask me. And you
Yeah,
can always email me directly as well. And I'll be
yeah.
happy to give you any assets I have, what as a comp. You don't have to, I'm not selling anything. Um, I just love Carrie, and I love to help his fans and followers. And Carrie, you do study sex, because you have me on your show all the
I
time,
know
and you've
that's
got me
true.
on your summit, and you read my books and tried my program. So, you do study sex.
No, I definitely study your work. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I hope everyone else does. And Susan has such a big heart, and she really is here to serve. And I'm so grateful for you, Susan, because I know how precious, your time is. And
I feel the same.
truly the cool thing that people don't know about Susan is she's a badass entrepreneur, like has massive companies and really doing some cool things in the world of sex and intimacy and love, and helping so many people in the process. We do have a couple questions. I want to get to them
Great, let's
before
go.
we bring on our next speaker.
Yeah, good.
So someone asked, can you give some examples on how to start and
Yeah.
get back to the honeymoon phase with my
Yeah.
wife?
Yeah.
Something maybe that my wife would be open to. This is a great question.
Yeah. The very first thing that I think about when you have a wife that's like, not, like, when are we having a date? When are we having a date for sex?
Yeah.
Is to start with yoni massage. Yoni is a tantric lovemaking word for the female genital system. It's not just the vagina or just the vulva. It's not the medical parts. It's really the whole pleasure zone. And one of the things I like is this little vibrator. It's called the Leia 3, and it fits in the palm of your hand, and it really goes over the vulva really nicely. And I like it paired with my pleasure protocol, which is this wonderful kind of slide and glide experience that when you lay her down and you just offer her pleasure, and you help bring blood flow to her genitals, and you don't expect to get sex, intercourse, and you just give, what you're doing is you're filling her back up, and you're helping her get the blood flow to her genitals and getting the pleasure going for her that she needs. Because when you're in a male body, you have a lot of testosterone, nocturnal erections, you have morning wood, you're ready to go, you're goal oriented, you're just like, let's go. And for us in our female bodies, we're more up in our head. We have to worry about a lot of stuff out there because we're the prey, not the predators. And our blood flow takes about 20 minutes, where for the masculine, it takes him up 2 or 3 minutes to be ready to go. And so you have to slow down. And one of the ways to do that is just to be like, I would like to institute a yoni pleasuring experience in our marriage. And I'm doing it to help you reconnect your pleasure with me, but I have zero expectation. I'm going to give and give and give, and when you want to go further, I'll be a yes, but I will not be mad at you or disappointed if you're like, that was really nice, I think I just want to go to sleep now. Because what's going to happen is, over time, you do that 10 times and you don't pressure her, it's going to start that blood flow, it's going to start that trust, it's going to start that connection, it's going to be stopping that give to get, where she just feels pressure. The pressure is what makes it hard for her. She's never ready like you are. And so when you short circuit that way that you have been doing things, and you just start giving in the new way, boy, does that make all the difference in the world for her, because then she gets the blood flow such that intercourse becomes very orgasmic for her. And she's going to generally, she'll just want more intimacy because it starts at a slower pace and gets her where she needs to go.
Oh, wow. I mean, so well said. And, what I'm just sitting here reflecting. I'm like, we started the talk the summit talking about selfless service, and then we went to optimized health. Then we
Ooh.
went to unplugging digitally and talking business, and now we're talking about vibrators and sex,
Yeah.
and it's just hilarious to me. But this is like the all-encompassing components of life, and it's beautiful to talk about them all. And I'm just grateful for you and experts, like these amazing summit speakers. We do have some phenomenal questions, but unfortunately, our
We're
next
out of
speaker is
time.
here,
Yeah.
and I want
Send them
to
to me.
have these answered. But I would ask, if you have your question, to email Susan.
Yeah,
Potentially, maybe Susan, if you're willing.
of course.
There's some great ones, and guys, take Susan up on her free gifts. Like, these are phenomenal. I've been through them. Her books, her programs, her PDFs, her videos. If you want to increase, the love in your life, this is definitely someone you should learn from. So thank you so much, Susan. I'm
Thank you,
so
sweetheart.
grateful for you. And any closing?
I love you.
I love you too. Any closing thoughts before
No,
we
just
bring up?
email me about anything. You've got my email address, susan.bratton@gmail.com. Send me anything and what was that layer thing? What anything, anything. Ask me anything, and I'll see you on the other side. Thank you so much. Have a fabulous day.
Thank you. I mean, thank you again, Susan. I appreciate you.